Shall we start?
Please start.
Yes, yes.
So, Aditya?
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, welcome all to this session of AI and ML, Introduction to AI and ML. And today we have a speaker, Dr. Umesh Hodeghatta Rao. He has a master's degree from in electrical engineering from Oklahoma University in USA, and a PhD from Indian Institute of Technology. And he also has an experience with leading organizations providing AI and NLP and machine learning solutions. And I'd also like to welcome Mr. Bhaskar, the CEO of Infimind Skill Development, and all spectators who are here to attend this session. Commissioner, I think you can start.
Thank you very much, Anirudh, for that introduction. And once again, thank you everyone for joining. And hopefully it will be a very exciting session. We'll talk about what is artificial intelligence, machine learning, and what are some of the career opportunities that you have in today's world. So this is the agenda. I just want to make sure that we all understand some of these confusing terms that we keep hearing every day. So if you turn on your CNN news, or if you open any newspaper, you will hear these terms quite often. So I would like to take a minute to introduce those terms, what it means to a common man. And then I will take some scenarios and examples where how machine learning and AI is applicable. Okay, so then we talk about some of the career opportunities that you have in this field, and finally, what are some of the prerequisites that are required to learn and implement this AI and machine learning projects. And then finally, I will briefly talk about some of these upcoming training program that we will be conducting shortly. And then I will take a question and answer session. So all these things we should be able to complete in 45 minutes. So depending on the questions, at the end, we will extend it how much ever longer that you want. I'm here to answer all your questions. And I'm sure you will have a lot of questions at the end. So what is AI and machine learning? As I said, we hear this term every day these days. So what exactly is AI and machine learning? Is it an automation, or is it another programming, the fancy programming that we do every day, C++, Java? Is it something like that? Or is it about developing a model? Is it something simulation? What is it exactly a model means? Or is it just another algorithm? Just like in your computer science, you studied many of these algorithms. So is it something, another algorithm, right? Or is it just a mathematical term, another mathematical term which has got a lot of different types of mathematics? So what exactly is it, AI and machine learning? So let us look at these terms just to make sure we are all on the same page, and then you are all clear about what is this artificial intelligence and what is this machine learning, how they are all related to each other. Okay. So what is artificial intelligence? So before we go into the artificial intelligence, we have to define what is intelligence. So whenever we talk about intelligence, we talk about, we refer to a human, and then we mostly say an intelligent person who has an ability to learn, he has an ability to reason, he has a problem-solving skill, and then importantly, understanding the language. So there may be many other definitions or many other terms associated with the intelligence. At least, just for our discussion, we just keep it short. So these are the 4 most important aspects when it comes to an intelligence, when we refer somebody is an intelligence. So then what is artificial intelligence? So the same thing, how do we make computer to do all these tasks which I mentioned by human? Can computer understand a language? Can it have an ability to solve a problem? Is it able to understand and predict certain things? That is the problem solving skill. And then is it able to learn a new concept or a new theory if you provide enough training? And then can it operate by itself? Is it an autonomous system? Can we do that? So that is exactly what is artificial intelligence. If we are able to achieve all these aspects in a computer system, then we can say it is a completely an artificial intelligent system. However, we are still not there. It's very hard, particularly when it comes to understanding a language. As we move on, I just would like to, one thing we talked about AI, artificial intelligence, and there is an associated term called as machine learning. So what is machine learning? We make these machines or a computer system to learn and perform a specific task. The task could be prediction, the task could be understanding and then trying to find a pattern in the data. So this is what we call it as machine learning. How do we do it? So that is what we'll be talking in a couple of minutes, but that is what is called as machine learning, making the machines to perform a certain task. And then we also hear this another fancy term, deep learning. Deep learning, deep learning is used everywhere. And you should not be baffled by all these terms. So deep learning is nothing but it is an extension, or it is one of the algorithm to perform machine learning. So we call it as an hierarchical artificial neural network, which is a deep learning. So more the hierarchy or the network, that's the deeper the learning happens. And that is what is called as deep learning. It's as simple as that, nothing fancy about it. And AI pretty much is an application which is built by learning and using some of these methods. So that is, in AI. So if you look at AI, it comprises of machine learning and deep learning. And there is another term we keep hearing about it called business analytics. So again, what is business analytics? So within the business analytics, so there are 3 subcategories. So what we call it as descriptive analytics, and there is something called predictive analytics, and there is something called as prescriptive analytics. So what are these 3 things? So we will be looking at briefly. So please make a note of all your questions, and what we will do is we will address this at the end, even though in some of these topics you may have some questions. So I will definitely clarify. Please make a note of it and then pass it on to my moderator. So he will be facilitating these question and answering session. So what is descriptive analytics? Okay. So you have, this is all you are familiar by this time. So everywhere is locked down, and then you will be monitoring all these COVID cases every day. You will be watching on TV, you will be looking at all these numbers and these graphs, these maps, which are which will show which country has how many cases. So this is nothing but your descriptive analytics. So basically you have these numbers or the data. So that is explored and then put it in a format where a common man can easily able to interpret what it is and easily able to understand this data. So that is what is descriptive analytics. So now this is this particular descriptive analytics has been around for many years, and you are very familiar with statistics, and many of you may have used all these graphs in one or the other form while you are studying. There are several tools. There are a little bit advanced tools which facilitate to perform these tasks, like Tableau, for example, or Microsoft has got something called as Power BI, SAS, statistical analysis. That's a company, SAS. They have a statistical analysis tool. Or even your simple Microsoft Excel can perform many of the tasks that I have shown here. This is not machine learning. We should not be confused. Here we are only presenting the data. Today, the difference is today we have access to huge amount of data, and some of our tools that we were using earlier, that is not able to perform. So hence, so there are tools which are able to process this big, huge data and then able to present the same information in a graphical format. These are the tools. These are the latest tools. So this is not, we should not be confusing with this machine learning and these descriptive analytics. We are not doing any learning here, matter of fact. However, during the process of building machine learning models, we do adapt some of the descriptive analytics techniques in order to explore the data and build the models to achieve the maximum performance of the model. So this is what is descriptive analytics. So let's move on. And what is machine learning? So machine learning, it's also called in the business people, they call it as a predictive analytics. So in machine learning, as I said, machine tries to learn and perform a specific task where it is going to predict the future. So there are mainly there are two categories of machine learning, what we call it as a supervised machine learning, and there is something called as unsupervised machine learning. In supervised machine learning, I'll be shortly discussing an example of what is supervised machine learning. Supervised machine learning, it learns specific tasks to perform based on what we call as training data, and it learns, and then it once it learns, any new information is given to it, it is able to predict. A simple example: what is the weather tomorrow? Right now, if you look at in the state of Odisha and West Bengal, there is a hurricane that is hitting, and every day they are monitoring. So now they are predicting it may hit in a couple of hours. It may be hitting in a few hours or few minutes, whatever that prediction may be, maybe days. So how they are able to predict? They are predicting based on various information that they have collected and then based on that information that they have, they are predicting, okay, in this certain amount of time, so there is a possibility it may hit a certain place. Okay, so that is precisely what we call it as supervised machine learning. It's all based on historical, so many storms that have been come and gone, and then they may have collected a lot of information. And right now also they have many information, the wind speed, the direction, the speed at which the hurricane I is moving, so many factors they have. And when they feed it to the model, and based on this new information, the new storm information, so based on the model that they have, they are able to predict, this is what it is going to happen, right? So that is an example, simple example of supervised machine learning. Whereas in unsupervised, there is no label. So basically, you take the entire data and then try to figure it out, which label can we put it, or which category we can put it. So that is what is called unsupervised machine learning. We are trying to find the pattern in the data. And I have also shown some examples of different algorithms so that are used to build these supervised machine learning and unsupervised machine learning. And there is a third category which is gaining popularity. So again, this is called an semi-supervised learning. So it is in between supervised machine learning and unsupervised machine learning. So this is the latest trend. So the reason this is becoming more popular is it's hard to label the data, and also unsupervised doesn't give the performance that is expected. So the reinforcement learning, that is also called as a reinforcement learning. So that is it's in between the supervised and unsupervised. It's called as a semi-supervised machine learning. Okay, so now an example of supervised machine learning. So this is a classic example that I give all the time. You may all be familiar in your if you go to your Yahoo or Gmail or Outlook, any of the email system. So you have seen this folder called spam. So any new email that comes, it automatically able to detect whether it is a spam or it is not a spam. So if it is not a spam, then it will be your inbox. If it is spam, it will go into a spam folder. So this is your machine learning, supervised machine learning. We call it as a prediction. So the email, this model is able to predict whether a given email, a new email that comes to your inbox, is a spam or it is not a spam. It is able to classify your email into two different folders. Okay, so this is one such classical example that you all have used, and this has been there for several years now, if not the day it was invented, the email was invented. So let us look at quickly some of the other machine learning scenarios or AI systems. So one such system that you all have heard is this intelligent self-driving cars. So this is becoming popular. This is still in the experimental stage, and some of them have successfully able to deliver self-driving car. For example, Uber is able to deliver its Amazon is able to deliver its package successfully using these self-driven devices. And then similarly, Amazon Air is experimenting with drones that will automatically, that will be able to deliver the packages by air. So this is one of the example of machine learning model. Okay. The other popular model is the fraud detection. You all know there are so many frauds that are happening online. It could be your credit card frauds, or your insurance frauds, or your network cybersecurity frauds. So all these frauds, how do we detect it? Even your spam or not a spam is also a fraud detection. Phishing attack, for example. This is another classical example of your machine learning application. So what other applications we have? Well, there is another application, what we call it as a target marketing or segment markets. We could use machine learning models to identify or predict a market for launching a new product, for example. So this is another example of your machine learning case. And this is, you all have Amazon account, and you all have pretty much, even in Walmart or your Flipkart, for example, if you have logged in and if you have ever used your purchases online, you might have seen this frequently purchased together, frequently bought together, because you shopped for similar items. So it will give you, what is this? This is called as a recommendation system. Okay. So this is my account. I recently did some shopping on my golf equipment, and it is giving me a lot of other options since I shopped. So this is based on the recommendation of my own purchases. What are the things that I have been purchasing constantly, and based on that, it gives me recommendation of other associated products, what I may be interested to buy. So this is a classical machine learning an example. Okay. So you may have seen in your Amazon account or your Flipkart account, I'm pretty sure. There is another classic example, which is probably in the last 1 or 2 years you have been seeing on your email, in your Outlook email, and in your Gmail. Automatically, when you receive an email, if you have to respond, automatically it is giving recommendation, right? So it is predicting your email response, and it will give you an option to respond to email. So that is the most latest technology in email that I have seen. It is able to or your even next sentence depending on the email. Okay, so these are just few cases. This must have given an idea of where and how. So I have given various examples from marketing to your online shopping, to food delivery, to the credit card, the financial, and then including your email.
Hello, sir. You are on mute actually. Hello.
You're muted, sir.
Video is on mute or on mute?
Hello. You're muted, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Umesh, sir. Your audio is having some issue and you are right now muted. Can you unmute and
My video is muted or I am muted? Voice is muted.
Okay, okay. Now it's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
And the
Yeah,
screen
so,
sharing is not right now. Okay.
Yeah. I will just share the screen. Just give me 1 minute. Yes. All right. Sorry for that. Yeah. So There are other examples, voice recognition. You have seen Alexa, Siri, Google Assistant. So that is again example of machine learning. A predictor of machinery in a production line, or your crime detection, crime voice recognition. So many mobile phone right now is you cannot unlock the phone unless it is recognized by your voice or your facial. So these are some of the common machine learning examples. Okay, this is the most interesting session. I just want to make sure everybody is alert, and I will just pause here for a second. If there are any questions, I can answer. Or should we take the questions at the end? So I will think we'll take the questions at the end.
Questions at the end, yeah.
Okay, let me continue. Okay. So I talked a lot about machine learning and the different applications, where it is applied, etc. Now, how are you going to implement this? So you need one, the skills that is relevant to your. Can you mute? I'm having some noise. Yeah, thank you. So the skills that are required to understand the algorithms associated with this machine learning, whether it is supervised, how do we make it a supervised model, build a model, or your knowledge of your statistics and the mathematics, and the tools and the framework that are associated. That is the first part of it, the skills that are required. And once somebody acquires the skills, then you need a resource. The resource could be your data, the platform where you are going to deploy, and also the human resource to build these projects. Okay, and opportunities are in almost every sector. Today, data is in abundance, and every organization has got plenty of data, and they don't know what to do with the data. And every sector, every industry, every company, every organization has got one or the other problem, and they are very curious to solve these problems using machine learning and build an artificial intelligence system. It could be your R&D, design development industry. It could be your manufacturing industry. It could be logistics, supply chain. It could be your healthcare. It could be your insurance company. It could be even your IT, communication, networking company, internet companies, energy, marketing and sales, human resources, government, governance, etc., etc. So you can add all the sectors to this list, right? So having said that, I just mentioned the industry. Now I'm going to talk about some of the specific problems that either I have worked in some of these problems, or I have been involved in a discussion directly or indirectly in some of these, one or more of these, the applications that I'm going to talk about it right now. So for example, an electric company in New York, so they wanted to predict a possible outage due to severe weather. Yeah, this is a very interesting problem. So electric company is trying to see how they can adopt machine learning, because they have all the data that they have been collecting, so many outages that happens regularly, and they have been collecting data for many years. So using the data, would they be able to predict why it is happening, right? Similarly, a wireless mobile company in New Jersey, they wanted to understand the billing. They wanted to read the billing information in the PDF file, and then trying to predict if there are any frauds that are happening, right? A cable company in New York City, they wanted to predict cable companies. I don't know, maybe your Tata Sky or Reliance. I don't know in India which one they provide. Here we have something called Xfinity, AT&T they provide. There is several cable companies in United States. So they wanted to predict, this is one of the cable company in New York City. So they wanted to predict what are the possible failures or repairs that could happen in the broadcasting their television channels, and how can they optimize their repair demands. I'm just giving you an example. As I said, these are some examples that I have worked or I have involved in discussion, or I have directly or indirectly being part of the problem. Right? Oil and gas industry in Atlanta, Georgia. Right? So they wanted to predict. This is a very interesting thing. I did not know until I got involved in this. They wanted to predict or optimize a drilling strategy. It's very interesting. So they have to dig so many wells in order to extract the oil. And they wanted to, find out where exactly to go and drill rather than going randomly and trying to find whether they get and how far they can dig. So it's a very interesting problem they wanted to solve using machine learning. An electronic retail store in Minnesota, they wanted to use online, they wanted to use machine learning for selling their products online. Amazon is a big threat for everyone. You can find many things on Amazon. Pretty much, you name it, you will go and find on Amazon. And all these, the retail stores, the brick and mortar stores, so they are trying to catch up with the technology and Amazon. Amazon is not just an online e-commerce company. They are pretty much a technology company which are pretty much competing with Microsoft or Google. I will not talk about Amazon itself. You can go and find out more about it. So just to give you an idea, a big giant software company, number one, probably in the world, in Redmond, Washington. So they wanted to predict an online gaming user behavior. Again, they wanted to adopt machine learning to find out the user behavior. A big wireless company in Seattle, Washington, they wanted to build a chatbot or an NLP, natural language problem. Marketing survey, a Chicago a company in Illinois, they wanted to predict the effectiveness of a marketing survey. Very interesting problem. Again, these are all very interesting problem to work on. A financial institution in Phoenix, Arizona, they wanted to solve many of the finance related problems. I'm not able to recall, what exactly this particular company wanted to do it. Again, there is a financial institution in New York City. Very interesting. In one of the thing in finance industry, particularly in New York City, which is considered as the capital of financial market in the world, even 1 second the server down or technology down can bring a loss of billions of dollars. So they cannot simply afford, for example, NASDAQ market going down or Dow Jones or Fidelity investment server going down even for a second during the business hours. So they can't afford. So they wanted to predict their data center server failures using machine learning. So another very interesting problem. So the healthcare industry, this is another big sector where they have huge amount of data, and they want to predict many of the frauds associated with the insurance claims. It could be the clinics, the hospitals, the providers, so etc. Real estate broker firm. This is a very interesting thing. This is one of the Canadian company I worked with them. in Vancouver, Canada. They wanted to use machine learning to rank the brokers. So a very interesting thing. The real estate business here, it's slightly different from India. It's a very interesting thing. The brokers, they spend quite a bit of time working with you to finalize a real estate, whether you are buying a corporate commercial space or a residence. There are a lot of things associated with, you have to have a license, first of all, in order to do any real estate business in United States and Canada. And it's all ranked, and they wanted to rank. I don't know exactly what was the purpose of this ranking, but definitely they wanted to use machine learning to do that. Again, one of the pharmaceutical company, recently I had a talk with in New Jersey, which is one of the biggest pharmaceutical company. They wanted to optimize drug manufacturing process using machine learning. So they have several millions of dollars given budget for this particular AI and machine learning initiative within the organization, and they wanted to see how they can utilize machine learning. I think I pretty much covered almost all the sectors that you can think of where machine learning can be applied, and how machine learning can be applied. So finally, one of the credit union bank in Wisconsin, they wanted to predict the user who can take the loan. Very interesting. So again, it's a target marketing, if you want to say. This is one of the credit union that is something similar to your cooperative bank. Okay. So this is just, I missed several other industries. Probably that list can go longer than what I have listed. So I just couldn't list all of them because of the time constraint that we have today. But however, that would give you enough idea of where and what are the places you can apply machine learning and AI. And what are the positions or opportunities available? These are some of the roles that you hear about it, or you have seen advertisement. For example, a data engineer, data analyst, data scientist, machine learning engineer. So this is something latest that has coined in Silicon Valley, in San Jose, and the Bay Area in California. Okay, so this is something, a new term that has coined. And data analyst, all these roles are complementary, but yet different. Now, depending on where you specialize, what skills you learn, you have an opportunity to work in any of the sectors that I mentioned about it. For example, the descriptive analytics, if you want to just focus on descriptive analytics, there are tools, if you are familiar with the Power BI, Tableau, SPSS, these are some of the tools you could just focus on descriptive analytics, and there are plenty of jobs. All you have to do is you just find out the patterns in the data, and then present to the business leaders who can make better decisions. Okay. So another interesting term you hear, data science, right? Data science, data scientist. So now the confusion with this term is it is a discipline where you have to know all the knowledge, from your statistics to your machine learning, and application of all your descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive analytics. So it combines everything. When data science, if you say, it combines everything. So now data scientist has become more a fancy term, okay, where you can end up doing descriptive analytics, you may end up doing predictive analytics, or you may end up even doing a data engineer, where you just extract the data from the database, and then you just make the data available for the next set of analysis. So it's a very these terms are very fancy, and people are trying to sell this so that companies can attract the talent. So the best thing is it's up to you to what extent you are going to learn or you want to learn, and to what extent you would like to apply the skills that you have done, and target the job opportunities that you would like to explore. So it's not big data, it is big data. I think it's a auto correction problem. Maybe my computer, it is foolish enough to not figure it out what is big and what is big. There is no need for digging the data anymore. Right now, we have huge amount of data. There is not enough space to store such data. That's so. Big data analytics is the analysis of a huge amount of data. Big data, we call it as trillions and terabyte, petabit, zettabyte of data, zettabytes of data that are required for your analysis. So there are a different set of tools that are available. It's mostly supported by the infrastructure, rather than having any specific skills specifically for your performing your machine learning. Still, if you want to predict or if you want to conduct a descriptive analytics, still some of the techniques are the same, except now you have the entire data, what we call it as a population, is available at your disposal, right? So an example is geospatial data captured by satellites. Right? So that's a huge amount of data, and then you will be doing an analysis. Yeah. So now we are almost towards the end. I just would like to take some time explaining some of the machine learning tools that are available, both open source and commercial tool. If you look at this Gartner report, this is the latest, it's not latest, it's November 2019. I don't think now it is May. They may have published one in the month of February or March. I haven't got the access to that. So if you look at it, there are several leaders in this space who have their own product. For example, Microsoft, IBM, Amazon. I don't know why Amazon doesn't show up here. Then you have TIBCO, then Alteryx, MathWorks, Google. Many of these tools that are available, and they support both, the descriptive analytics as well as the predictive analytics. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time on prescriptive analytics because I think we will skip that for this particular session. Okay, so prescriptive is, once you predict, what do you do? That's what it is. So basically, so it's an action that you take. You predict something, and then next, what do we do? So can we do it and automatically do something after that? So that's what it is. So open source tools are Python. These are all open source tools. TensorFlow, Keras, Theano, Caffe. These are all libraries which are supporting your machine learning tasks. Okay, so that runs either on top of Python or it runs on top of R. Then there are some other tools: PyTorch, H2O, RapidMiner, NIME. Then there are tools for big data analytics like Scala, Kafka, Spark. These are all open source tools. So what's the difference between the open source and commercial tools? So commercial tools, pretty much you have to pay money, and more than that, it provides you a very nice interface where most of the tasks are going to be very simple and then easy. So you don't have to do much programming. So it's very interactive, and then you can complete your task quickly. Whereas your Python or R, you may have to write a little bit more programming, and also if you want a more intuitive way to demonstrate your output with the graphs and charts, so you may explicitly program these things. Okay. So now, lastly, we have an upcoming training that is coming up shortly, where I'll be conducting this training, an online training. These are some of the topics that I'll be covering. I'll be giving an overview of business analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. Then we will talk about the R, the package, the tool. Then we talk about in detail about descriptive analytics, and then we talk about the business analytics process, or your machine learning process, to be more precise, and then data exploration, and then we go in detail about the supervised machine learning, unsupervised machine learning. There is something called regression analysis. Then there is something called logistic analysis, regression analysis, then neural network. And finally, we talk about the big data analysis. So this is probably about 60 to 70 hours of program. And for the details, when we are starting and the financial aspects of it, you can contact my organizer, Infimind, as well as Karthik. You can contact him for more details. Okay, and these are some of the sample AI machine learning algorithms we will be discussing. So I just listed few. We may be learning most of it. Okay, I don't want to spend a lot of time on all these things today. And one of the questions that I keep getting all the time from many people is, what is the prerequisite for learning these AI and machine learning? So here is my answer. Okay, you got to have an attitude to learn and work hard, right? So as long as you love mathematics, so you're fine. You need a little bit background about linear algebra and then statistics. We will be covering that. But as long as you are willing to learn, and you will be fine. And then a programming skill, it's not required. We will be talking about this R. It is a statistical package, and it doesn't require a whole bunch of programming, but definitely it is a very interesting programming language which you will be learning, and many of the industries are using R. So the Python requires a little bit more skills of your programming. So definitely, if you would like to work on AI, or if you want to learn machine learning using Python, you can learn Python, and then we will be discussing in our training program so some of the libraries that are used to build these AI and machine learning tasks. And what other things I keep getting answer is, whether do I need to have an education degree, whether do I need to have a bachelor's degree, whether I have to have an engineering degree. So what is that requirement to learn? So honestly, as I said, as long as you have some background about your maths and you are able to speak English and learn, read and write, I think education is right now more required for getting a job, and that may be a job requirement. But if you are willing to learn, and if you are going to do an hard work, so then educational degree, really I don't care. But definitely I would expect at least the mathematics knowledge of your 12th standard, some calculus. So at least when I talk about some of the gradient descent algorithms, or some of the decision tree or regression analysis, so we will be talking about some of the statistical aspects and linear algebra. But if you are able to at least have that much of knowledge, when I talk, you will be able to understand or relate to it. So I will be covering some of these aspects during our course, but definitely this is something is expected for learning your AI and machine learning. And then, of course, communication skills, expressing your ideas, results, your understanding your output, and then providing the report to the executives. So these are some of the skills so that would greatly help to enhance your career and get job. So finally, what is the future of AI and machine learning? As I said, data is not a problem. There is abundance of data is available, and computing power, as you can see, there is technology has improved so much, is advanced so much today. Computing is no longer a problem. Hard disk is so cheap now, so storage is no longer a problem. CPUs, so you have right now called GPU, graphical processor units, core 5, core 7. So technology has advanced so much, even the computing power, the price of the computing power has come down. So it's not a problem at all. And then, as I mentioned, we have vast number of applications that can be built using machine learning across the industries. It's not just one industry. It's not IT. IT is no longer an industry where you want to use your AI and machine learning. You can go to any industries. It could be manufacturing, it could be pharmaceutical, it could be chemical industry. So it doesn't matter, even in your educational industry, as long as you have access to the data, as long as you have computing power, so you can do anything you want. So we believe that there is a huge potential for integration with the Internet of Things appliances, and the detection and prediction is across all the industry you can think of. And of course, I believe there is a potential for new specialized jobs across all the industry. Okay, and finally, with this, there is a case study. I would make this case study available. If you go and search, it is available in Harvard Business School. I think it's called Building the AI-Powered Organization by Tim Fontaine and Brian McCarthy and Tamin Saleh. It's the publication from, I think it's in July-August 2019 issue. It's a very interesting case study. I would strongly recommend you to read this case study. I will try to upload. I will find out whether we can upload in our website so that you can go and download this case study. And when you get a chance, you can go and study that. So with that, again, I think about an hour probably I took. I would like to take question and answer. Finally, this is my website, businessanalyticsr.com. So where I have authored a book called Business Analytics Using R, and it is also published in Chinese language. I have also published a book on cybersecurity. So if you go to this website, so you can find more details, and the email, if you have any questions regarding this, you can email me at Umesh at businessanalyticsr.com. as well as my email ID can be found at umesh@mytechnospeak.com. That is another email ID. So you can Google my name, and then you can find all my details. And I have given a lot of similar talks on various topics related to AI and machine learning. I constantly conduct a seminar almost once a month. I have been conducting these kind of webinars, knowledge sharing on a specific. I also have a channel on Bright Talk, which is one of the leading content development organization. There I have a channel where I'll be almost talking every month on this. So if you are interested to learn more about it, it's you can access it. It's free, and it's available for public. So with that, I think I will take questions you may have. I think Karthik or Bhaskar can facilitate this question and answering sessions. Thank you so much. Again, I appreciate for coming and taking your time to attend this.
Thank you, sir. So we have a question here from, one second, from Vasanta Manjunath. She was asking that we have data both structured and unstructured. So how can we pool such data coming from different sources?
So I missed the last part. What is it? How can we code?
How can we pool such data coming from different sources?
How can we pool such data coming from different sources? Okay, actually, these tasks have been made very simple. How organizations do maybe varies from the infrastructure that they have. There is something called data lakes today. The traditional RDBMS, which stores only structured data. So now there are other databases and other data sources, such as unstructured data source, NoSQL, we call it as NoSQL database, not SQL. It is not, I don't know, they just shortened this as no. It is called not SQL database, such as MongoDB, Cassandra. So these are some of the databases that are specifically meant for storing structured as well as unstructured data. And when you build your machine learning model, the data source is these database. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir. Is there any other questions? The questions are open to all. Yeah.
Mr. Karthik?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a former colleague. I'm Vishwanath here, former colleague of Mr. Bhaskar. I have a question to Mr. Umesh. Can I directly?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Mr. Umesh, this is Vishwanath here.
Yeah.
See, you have been citing some of the examples, some of the clientele you have already done. Now, generally, the approach is whether the customer comes with you for a specific pain point or something to be addressed to, then you go into your analytical and do, or in case if they have only this thing, they are not very accustomed or familiar with the analysis part of it, how you approach it. Say, like, they have a data, but they don't know the importance or the value of this, the big data. Sometimes of your projects, they might have directly came. This is all the examples you have cited. Some people, they would have come directly, okay, this is my pain problem, pain area, so can you address to it? Or sometimes if they don't have, as a new customer, how you go and approach them, and whether you do a study and analyze where are the problems, how you approach them?
That's a good question. It is both, actually. Sometimes, just to give you an example, one of the things that I did not mention is I worked with one of the HR analytics company. We built from the scratch. But when we started, the whole objective was different. There was not even a data, for example. and then eventually we change the whole objective, and then we change the strategy. So similarly, in one of the retail stores, they had some data, but that data and the business problem that we wanted to solve, that was not matching. Then we had to guide through the entire process. So it is both. Sometimes during the discussion, they have something in their mind. They have some problems in the mind, and they want to see how AI and machine learning can be applied. And what is important is the data here, right? So you go there and then have a discussion, and then you find out one of the two things that can happen. One is most of the cases they don't have data. In some cases, they have data, but that will not address the specific problem, business problem they want to solve. So, to answer your question, it is both. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Any other questions?
So there's a question from YouTube asking, what are the opportunities in cybersecurity in relation with AI and ML?
That's a very good question. It depends on the kind of problem that you would like to solve. We have been involved in one of the major retail store. Currently, I have been involved. Just to give you an idea, that is the information security group we have been involved. They are trying to solve a specific risk associated with cyber security in terms of the cloud. So we are trying to see how we can apply machine learning. You can whether these are some of the old problems that people have already solved. For example, intrusion detection, right? Can we predict intrusion? Or looking at your cyber security logs in the server, can we do some prediction? Or risk, for example, what are the risks that are involved in application security or your network security, or your when it comes to for example, load balancing, right? That is again related to the networking, right? So it depends on the specific problem, and as long as you have access to the data, so you can definitely adopt machine learning. Matter of fact, if you go to this Bright Talk, or you can Google my name, there was a talk I gave specifically on how do we apply AI and machine learning in cybersecurity. You can just type this title. I think the title itself is AI and I think application of machine learning in cybersecurity, something like that. And you type my name, and then it will take you to this the video recording. Where you can, it's in 1 hour, I gave a talk on this that will give you a lot more details and a lot more case examples of how you can apply machine learning in in cybersecurity. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other questions?
Welcome. Hello, sir. I am. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, I am Navneet. I am doing a cybersecurity internship at Wattlecorp. So
okay.
I had a question. Like you mentioned that we can use machine learning and AI for predictions, right? Predictions about what is going to happen in the future.
Right.
So how accurate are these predictions? Like, have we actually reached that point in technology where we can actually predict the future?
Well, the objective is to achieve 100% accurately, any prediction for that matter. Okay. However, there are quite a bit of challenge in achieving it. Okay. So your question is, can you repeat the question? How we can achieve 100% accuracy, or is it possible to achieve 100% accuracy? Is that your question, or what is your? I'm sorry.
No, sir. I just meant like, since you said that using this we can predict what is going to happen, I was wondering, have we really reached that point where we can completely accurately predict what is going to happen in the future with technology? Have you reached that point in technology?
Oh, yes. Yes. Depending on the problem. For example, credit card fraud in credit cards. So almost 99%, 99.9%, we are able to predict, what kind of frauds that can happen. Right. So even your self-driven car, for example, so they are able to deliver the call using machine learning algorithm. For example, your Alexa or Siri on your mobile app, right? If you talk to Siri, that is a prediction. It is able to understand, and then it is able to predict what you are searching, for example. Or if you go to Google and if you search an item, so with a lot of accuracy, you will be able to retrieve the documents, right? And now image search. So you do the image search. So they are all machine learning, and they are able to achieve quite a bit of high accuracy. Of course, there are some errors. For example, spam or not spam in your email box, right? So almost 100% accuracy. Yeah, I would not call it 100%, 99.9% accuracy. Still, sometimes you see your valid email going to the spam, but highly unlikely your spam will go to the inbox, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. I'm
Yes, sir.
Akshut. This was a very informative session. So
Thank
I'm
you.
also an intern at Wattlecorp. So I would like to ask is the role of AI in machine learning. You mentioned the spam filter, which filters out most of the phishing attacks and scam mails. So that's in the
Correct.
defensive side of the cybersecurity. As for the offensive side, is it secure to implement AI and machine learning by for example, the national security to track down criminals, or use it to secure common citizen?
Okay. So whether we can use machine learning to do that, that is what your question was?
Yes, yes.
Yes. See, there are two. There is a third aspect I talked about: prescriptive analytics. Right. So
Okay, yeah.
let me just give you a very rudimentary, one example. There is something called intrusion detection system. You have heard of it, correct?
Yeah, I've heard.
Okay. So in intrusion detection system, there are two parts. One is it monitors, it detects basically. So the other one is prevention. It prevents also, right? So
Yes,
now the prevention is either you block, or you have to explicitly configure in your system when such and such an event happens, you block, right?
yes.
So
Yes.
that is a prevention that you are taking. Now you can adopt the similar technology. Right now they are using machine learning to do all those kind of things. So that is one example. You can adopt a similar kind of solutions in your security systems to predict, or not only predict, to prevent as well. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. And also, for example, can we track down a internet user using artificial intelligence, because by collecting user data?
Well, track down, that is we call it as a finger, that's a forensic analysis.
Yes.
Okay, the forensic, see, in AI and machine learning, you can predict the fraud before the fraud happens. This is more before the fraud happens. Forensic analysis is after the fraud happens.
Yes, sir.
So now the question is, if you have a data, for example, if a fraud happened and then you have a similar fraud happening, characteristics of this frauds that are happening in the cybersecurity world. So you have a data of that, use that data to predict, probably to predict, okay, this particular based on this data, this particular space, such and such a fraud happened. Maybe if you have similar kind of a characteristics, so maybe this is where the fraud has happened. That kind of an analysis can be done with that. That the kind of data that you may have. That is forensic analysis. It is possible. It is possible to answer your question.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So actually, this is a very good discussion. If you have a specific problem which you have some data and then you want to discuss, then you contact me offline and then we can discuss more detail.
For
okay,
sure,
send
sir.
me email or call me. We can discuss.
Yeah,
Okay,
Umesh, one question.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, related to the job opportunities. Many of the people, like we have some 8 years, 10 years of experience, and we have been working in different domains.
Correct.
So, since the industry, AI and ML industry is still in its infancy, like maybe around 2-3 years, it's got picked up. So, it is a very common thing any engineer would face. Do you have experience in this? If I show this in my resume, that is the first question I'll ask. They'll be asking. So, as you know, like, is it like mandatory to have experience to work or not? As in, since you are in the, like, you have been in this for some time, is it mandatory or like, to be very frank, I'm from a testing background, but AI and ML is mostly into programming. Okay, I can learn this and do. But that's the first question anyone would ask in an interview.
Correct. It's a very see, this job interview and job, these are all very tricky situations. This probably you might have come across the same challenge when you started your career as well, right? Someone gave you an opportunity, so you did not have an experience and you still was able to get a job.
Yes.
Right. This situation is also very similar. However, the way in which you tackle is different. I mean, it's a case by case. Let's say you have you said you are working on testing. So you have been, let's say you are very familiar with database, for example.
Yes.
SQL, you know how to query a data, how to get the data, right? That would be an added advantage that you have, and that is what you should be projecting, because one of the most important key skill in descriptive analytics is knowledge of SQL. Many of the companies today, when you apply for data scientist job, they will ask you to take an SQL test, surprisingly. The reason being, many of the data that organization have today are in a legacy system where they are running Oracle or Informix or IBM, the DB2. So that older database systems they have in the organization. So in order for you as a data scientist, let's say you are very familiar with predictive analytics, right? But for you, when you go to an organization, they are very curious what kind of experience that you have to access the data, right? So they don't want to spend any time training you. That is what is the challenge companies have today. So they want you to be productive from the day one, right? So now if you are able to highlight the experience that you have, which is relevant to the new technology that you have learned, then you will be able to address this question.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay.
So we have a question from YouTube again.
Yes, sir.
Is Conway's game of life an example of machine learning?
What? There was some disturbance. I missed the question.
The question is Conway's game of life an example of machine learning?
Can be a game of life.
No. Conway's, Conways, Conway's game of life.
What is it? Can you tell me a little bit more about it? I am not. I'm not familiar with that.
Let me check. I'll put a Wikipedia link here. So did you get the link?
Where have you posted?
I have put on the chat box.
The Wikipedia, Karthik, right? Kalati Karthik.
Yes.
Yeah. There is a Wikipedia Conway game of life. Okay, let me just opening the game of life, also known as simply a life cellular automation device by British mathematician. I have to go through this in order to answer this. Let me go through this and then answer. I may not be able to.
Yeah, sure.
I have not played this game before, but let me tell you. Okay, let me give you an idea of game of in general the game. Okay, I don't know whether this is a game. So gaming industry is adopting machine learning. I'll just that reminds me that I had earlier talked to one of the CEO in the gaming industry. So let me give you an example how they are using machine learning there. See, you play so many different games, and each game has got different techniques, and also how user friendly it is, right? So maybe some of the games are liked by some people, some of the games are not liked some people. So maybe there are ways that people don't like it because the way in which the interface or the way in which you move the joystick. I don't know. There are so many coordinates that are involved. So this company wanted to see if they can use machine learning to predict or optimize the gaming experience. Okay, so that is one of the applications this company wanted to adopt machine learning. I think if that is what is your question, so that's the thing. Okay.
Yeah. So there's another question from Vasanta Manjunath. What are the different applications of AI in the agricultural industry?
In agriculture industry, that's a very good. That's a good question. See, in agriculture, what I can think of it is what is the optimal environment that is required for a crop. Right. So what is the level of air, humidity, maybe water, the manure, that is required for optimizing the crop, the growth of the crop. That's something that I can think of. There are, if you go to the YouTube and specifically look at some of the agriculture related things, there are a lot of IoTs, that is the sensors. So they are putting all over the, all over these agricultural fields, and they are trying to capture lot of data, and from that data they want to do an analysis and do a prediction. So one of the that again reminds me, I think I don't know when I was, so one of my ex-boss, he has got a winery in California. So he wanted to see, actually he may be doing right now, I haven't spoken to him for a while. So he wanted to see how he can use IoT and then machine learning to improve the growth of the grapes, or where he can provide an optimal environment for the development of grapes. So that is another example. So similarly, probably you can again you can use as long as you are able to collect the data, and as long as you are able to solve a problem or have a problem and then predict, you could do it, right? For example, rubber industry in Kerala, there are a lot of rubber industry. I saw the rubber coming from the tree and then they collect. So is there any way you can go and predict when to go and then extract this rubber? That's a problem that you can use machine learning to do it, as long as you have all the data that is relevant for that environment. Okay, I hope that helps.
Okay, sir. Is there any other questions? Yes, sir, I think that's it.
Okay, so once again, I think thank you everyone for joining, and if you have any questions, so please contact me or send an email. Oh yeah, please.
Yeah, it's from Ammar. He's asking, is there any chance to security jobs can be completely replaced by AI and machine learning? If there is a chance to replace, then how that could become effect on job security?
That's a good question. Let me answer, not specific to cybersecurity or anything. In general, the jobs. Okay. Now, I can speak from the developed countries such as United States or Europe or Japan. Let me tell you why this machine learning has all of a sudden has become a big thing, or something people are spending a lot of time. So one is optimization, how effectively perform a task. So that is the most important reason for adopting the machine learning, right? The second is in developed countries, at least, there is a severe shortage of human resources. As you know, India has 1.4 billion people, whereas United States has got only 1/3 of the population, 320 million people. Right. So even for example, if I have to go and buy a milk, it takes about an hour for me, half an hour for me to go to the store and then pick up the milk and then go to the register. There is a long line I have to wait, and then pay the money, and then it takes. So how can I don't want to go just to bring milk I don't want to go there and spend about 15-20 minutes in a store. All I want to do is I will just walk into the store, pick up the milk, and then come back in 2 minutes. Right. So Amazon is experimenting a new concept called Go Amazon or Go Cart. I think I forget that exact technology. You can go to Amazon and find out that. So what it is if you walk into a Whole Food, it's already inactive. It's already in Seattle. If you go, there are 2 or 3 Whole Food stores. It's acquired by Amazon. It's a grocery store. They have implemented this technology. So all you have to do is you just walk into the store, pick up, and then walk out. And automatically billing, payment, everything is done automatically, and it is able to do it. So that's one of the machine learning applications, right? Self-driven car. For example, here everywhere you have to driverless car, right? So here pretty much unless you have a car, you can't. You are almost immobile. You cannot go anywhere because the distance it's all far. Now, as you grow old, when you become 75 or 80, you may not have the same sensory organs to perform or driving. Now, if I have this driverless car, I would rather, even today, I'm 50 years, and even I don't like to drive. So I would have somebody driving me, right? My own car. I will have my own car and somebody driving me. So if I have this kind of technology, so definitely I would love to utilize that. So similarly, there are I can give hundreds of applications where this is technology is being used more effectively. So none of these are going to replace any jobs. Nobody is working this kind of things, right? So that is more an optimization. And matter of fact, this has created more jobs. For example, cybersecurity. So every now and then you hear about this cyber security threats or cyber attacks, right? We don't have enough time or enough resources, enough people, enough skills so to go and rectify the problem or find out how to fix these things. So, but if you can use machine learning and if you can have a prescriptive analytics, automatically can do this job. So why not? So this field is creating more jobs actually. Okay, I think it was a very long answer.
Okay, sir, thank you. And sir, there's a question from my side, since you mentioned about the self-driving cars. So it's a moral question, like if in case in a scenario where the car is out of control, whose life would the system prefer, the driver or the pedestrians? There is an ethical
see, these are some of the things people are working. So that is yet in the experimental stages. Precisely some of the questions what you are asked. So that is why it is you don't see anything live today. At least I have not seen anything. So these are all in the experimental stage. Probably they're trying to address these kind of questions. Okay, so answer your questions. These are some things people are trying to answer, and I really don't have a clear answer for that question.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions?
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's it, sir.
Oh, great. Okay, have a nice rest of the day, and then we'll in my training session. I strongly encourage you to join and learn this new skill. Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Yeah, and thank you everyone for joining this. Thank you, sir. And we would like to have a feedback from your side. I'm posting the feedback link on the chat bot. So please fill the feedback form so that we can bring on more sessions like this.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.